Well, for more on this initiative and to bring us up to speed on some of the funding opportunities for young entrepreneurs to tap into with regard to the African free trade area, and to bring them all together, I'm joined now in the studio by Dr. Nicky Okoye, who's the founder of the Nicky Okoye organization. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, I assume you see the Africa Continental free trade area as a positive development.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's a wonder that Nigeria took so long to sign. But finally, we have about 54 African nations have signed, Nigeria being the 54th to sign. And I believe that this particular free trade agreement demonstrates it's the largest free trade area in the entire world so far. And it gives us an opportunity to tap into the entire African market. Africa has about $2.4 trillion in GDP. But that figure is actually about $6.6 trillion if you use purchasing power parity to do the calculations. And anybody who doesn't understand what purchasing power parity means, it just means that the rent I pay in Nigeria is very different from the rent I would pay if I lived in London.
Right.
Or the amount of money I buy my fish in the Lagos market or in my village market will be very different from what I would spend. So the cost of living basically is what purchasing power parity does. So if that's actually for me is a better figure to use. So if we use purchasing power parity, then Africa has a $6.6 trillion market, which means that that entire sum is available to Nigerian entrepreneurs and to other entrepreneurs across Africa.
Perhaps we should say will be available because it hasn't taken off, has it?
Oh, absolutely. It will probably take off in the first quarter of next year. So we're looking for a lot of countries to do the ratification of the free trade area agreement in the next 6 months. And a lot of those ratifications have already taken place. I mean, half of the countries have so far ratified, but we expect that all the rest of the countries will ratify before the end of this year. So it will take off early next year.
And from your point of view, you're striking whilst the iron is hot, getting things ready and saying there's an enormous opportunity here and I'm going to help you tap it. And I'm talking about the people that you're targeting, young entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. And in fact, this particular initiative is not just for young entrepreneurs. It is also for conglomerates. In fact, we're having meetings with the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, some companies that are already doing tens of billions of naira in revenue need access to new plants, machinery. Some of their machinery are 10 years, 20 years. Some have machinery that are 30 years old that need to be changed, that need to be refurbished. So they can now access these funds because the strategy would be they now have a larger market to serve. So they would now need to refurbish their machinery or to change it altogether if it has reached its end of life. So this particular initiative is for the entire value chain of entrepreneurship, for the young, for the medium, small and medium, and even for the large conglomerate. So everybody gets a piece of the action.
And you pre-screen and pre-select these entrepreneurs?
Yes, because a lot of the funds that we're talking about are going to be coming from what I call the sovereign guarantees.
Yes.
So for instance, the United States of America has just started an initiative that they call Prosper Africa. Hasn't been completely launched, but they have put together a $60 billion fund behind Prosper Africa, which means $60 billion is going to be available for African businesses that are willing to buy US technology, US equipment to expand and respond to the opportunities in our marketplace. The European Union is about to launch their initiative. They call it the African European Union New Alliance for Jobs and Growth. They're backing theirs up with 40 billion euro, which means, again, we have an opportunity to tap into those funds and to make our market people, for our entrepreneurs, to access to these opportunities so that they can respond faster to the market opportunities. When you have the traditional sources of funds, which is the international financial institutions, private equity, and venture capital, those cycles can take a bit longer to access, and their conditions are much more stringent, if you will. But when we are dealing with sovereign funds and their sovereign guaranteed funds, it means that businesses can access them if they meet specific criteria. So
Right.
we do that pre-screening, make sure that these businesses, whether they're Nigerian or in any other African country, meet the pre-screen criteria, and then we take them actually to the United States
Right.
if we're trying to tap into the Prosper Africa Fund or to Europe, and they meet with the decision makers.
Right, but do you approach the businesses or do they approach you? I'm just wondering how they'd get in touch if they
Well,
need it.
right now we're working with some of the state government investment promotion
Right, okay.
enterprises. Yeah, you know, so some state governments have actually set up companies
Right.
that their role is to seek investment in their state. And since a lot of these states enterprises, like for instance, Anambra has what you call the Anambra State Investment Promotion and Protection Agency. Quite a number of states have similar agencies. Their job is to bring in investment. That investment can only come in through private enterprise, through companies. A lot of those companies find it difficult to raise capital to support their investment decisions. So they look for alternative sources. So in this particular strategy, we have a market that is about to open. We have funding that is available through these sovereign guarantees. And then all we need is to marry it with the entrepreneurs and the businesses.
Right. And are there businesses that are favored better than others? In other words, would more funding be attracted for things like manufacturing or agriculture or
Yes,
whatever?
that's brilliant. Yeah, there are actually specific industries
Right.
that are being targeted, and of course, agriculture is one of them. But agriculture in the entire value chain. So you have agriculture in terms
Right.
of farming, you have the processing, you have the fishing, you have the livestock.
Right.
You know, so the whole value chain of agriculture is part. But it also includes transportation. It includes aviation. You know, all the aspects of aviation. So from the managing the aviation, which is the downstream aspect, which is the agencies, all the way up to running the airline or running the cargo, you know, as the case may be.
Sounds very, very interesting. I mean, every time I speak with you, you always have some new initiative, and I'm always absolutely fascinated with the stuff that
Thank
you're
you.
doing. But congratulations and keep doing it.
Thank
Dr.
you very
Nicky
much.
Okoye, founder of the Nicky Okoye organization there.